Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We're operating in a lot of different time zones today, but I'm really excited that we're having Blast Royale for an AMA. Can we let's go ahead and let's play the trailer video for those that aren't familiar with Blast Royale.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. She say that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D, don't believe in T-H-O-T. She keep playing me dumb. I'm a player for fun. Y'all don't really know my mental. Let me give you the picture like that. So falling out in drought. No flow rain was pouring down. See that fame was all around.
Man, so cool. So cool. I'm watching that. It's like you just start, dancing to it. So we have 3 guests from Blast Royale today. Can we let them into the studio? Hey, Remy,
Hey.
Anil, Nick.
Hey Johnson, how you doing?
Big pleasure to have you guys today. So I'm sorry for the weird background. This isn't a virtual background, but I was having some Wi-Fi issues this morning, so had to make sure that we went through with this. I drove to a location where I know there's good Wi-Fi, and really excited to have you guys today. That trailer, it's fire.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We're
Yeah,
excited
for
to be
sure.
here.
So you guys are gaming veterans, like you're really experienced. Can you give a little introduction to the 3 of you and tell us just a little bit about your backgrounds?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, hey, I'm Anil. I'm a co-founder here at First Light Games. We're the company that makes Blast Royale. I've been in the industry for far too long. That's why I've got grey hairs and why I'm wearing my cap today. When I was a kid, I used to run fighting game tournaments in the arcade. Street Fighter was my favorite franchise. And I used to run them with all my friends. We used to have like hundreds of people there. And then after that, I ended up getting into the games industry and I worked for Capcom and I worked on Street Fighter 4. So you can imagine how amazing that was for someone who loved playing that game as a kid to be able to work on that as an adult. And I was also fortunate enough there to work on Resident Evil 5 and Devil May Cry 4. And all 3 of those games managed to get to #1. So that's kind of like my claim to fame. I also worked on some games that didn't do so successful, but I never talk about those. I only talk about the hits, which is what Blast Royale is going to be. I also actually worked for Wargaming a bit later on, and that's where I met this fine gentleman here, which is Nick. So I'll let you do it.
Yeah, so I'm Nick. I'm game design director here at First Light. I'm also long in the industry, not so long, but still more than 10 years. I worked on many different titles, different business models, etc. At some point, I was making games for old ladies in States, loving mystery puzzles and all the stuff. But learned a lot at Wargaming, doing free-to-play titles, World of Warcraft, World of Warships, World of Tanks. Too many world of.
Yeah.
So yeah, we met with Anil at Wargaming, working on a hardcore strategy game, and now I'm here at First Light, and we are doing this cool new title on this new frontier of Web3 games. All with you, Rennie.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to meet you. My name's Rennie. I am the marketing lead at Blast Royale. I've got just over 7 years worth of experience in marketing and branding. In Web2, I created a charity in Barcelona and in the UK, and most recently been degenning in the crypto space, investing far too much money in NFTs, and currently trying to take Blast Royale all the way to the moon.
Well, you can just tell, like, from what you guys are doing that it's fun, right? Like that trailer, just the graphics, everything. What really, like, I love, like, free to play and like fun to earn, right? Like, can you guys talk a little bit, like, give a little introduction, for people maybe that are seeing this, game, this project for the first time?
Yeah, sure. So I think our kind of philosophy as a studio is we want to make really fun games, right? That's what we're all about. That's why we play games, to have fun, to entertain. Why we think Web3 is like so amazing is that there's the potential for some players to earn rewards by playing the game, and you also get the unique ownership of your NFT assets. So we think that's going to be the future of the games industry going forward. You know, imagine if you played your favorite game, like in my example, it'd probably be Street Fighter, and I could maybe earn some crypto by playing that game, or I own my own characters. It would only make me like the thing that I'm making even better. So that's kind of our philosophy. And, you know, our aspiration is we want to be like one of the best Web3 studios in the world. We want to be known for having like great quality. So you can, you know, every time we release a game that people go, oh, wow, that's another one of First Light Games titles. You know it's going to be good. You don't even have to know what it is. You just play it immediately. So in order for that to be true, yeah, we've got to have fun. We've got to make like a great game that we have fun playing. What's really cool, you might see the trailers, you can imagine when we play it in the office, how heated it gets. Like, it's actually pretty hilarious when we do a team playthrough, because I have to censor all the swear words that people are saying to one another, right? Because like every 2 minutes, like, oh my God, like that kind of feeling. And that really makes it feel alive, and it's fun to do it. So we want to bring that feeling to everyone on the blockchain and adding all those kind of cool elements. Maybe you can touch a bit more, but that's kind of like what we're trying to achieve with the game.
Yeah, fun is really crucial, and that's what makes the game sustain. Because if the game is not fun, then why bother playing it? Yeah, I can make some money out of it, but it's just not enough. It's not really a game at that point. So
I think that's what's so fun about it, like for us too, right? Like we want to direct our gamers, deploy the gamers like in fun projects, right? Like they have to be sustainable, they have to continue to want to play it. And I mean, obviously you get that feel, you can tell right away.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are trying. Doing our best.
And so 30 players simultaneously, is that accurate?
Yeah, we've been testing that. That's how it goes. I mean, we did consider at one point having more than that, but we think that's like a good number. We also think what's important is we want to make a game that's kind of quite fast paced, and you can play many sessions. Like if you play like a battle royale game on like PC, I mean, some of those games are obviously 100 to 1, but they can last like half an hour. Now that's cool. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's like a different type of game experience. I think what we're looking for is that like within 5 minutes, it just feels really good fun. And I think for us, like the acid test is that like this always happens, is as soon as the game is over and we're supposed to end the team playthrough, is someone just presses the play button again and we keep playing it, and you get addicted to it, right? So actually it's quite hard to end the meetings when we do the team playthrough, because someone's always salty because they lost and they want to keep playing to kind of keep winning. So that's kind of our feeling for the game as well, is that we deliberately wanted it so like you get into the action quite quickly, you get that kind of good taste. If you win, great, but you know, you're not massively handicapped if you lose. Because you know, some games, if you play for like 20 minutes and then you just lose to someone sniping you that you never see it, you know, that's for some people, it's not for everyone. So we're trying to go more on like that. Like so you said it yourself, like fun is what we're all about. So we got to this approach because we can start. It's a fun way to do it. So yeah, 30 players in one map is how it works.
From like a technical aspect, like, you know, like a lot of games, 5-6 players, right? Like, how is it a lot harder to make a game like with 30 simultaneous players from like a development aspect?
It does have does introduce some challenges. It's not like one-to-one, but I mean there is no big difference between 10 players, for instance, and 30 players. So as we nail that number, and Deathmatch Beta currently running shows that our game does support 10 players, 12 players simultaneously. So 30 players is good enough. It was a challenge, but we've successfully overcame.
Yeah, I think around that, like the bigger challenge actually is always like who you're targeting to play the game. So, you know, we've always said that we want people, especially like Southeast Asia is like a big territory for us. Also like Latin America, actually, where you are at the moment, Colombia would be a big territory for us. So we know that people there won't necessarily have the latest devices. So we're trying to make the game so that it's playable for many devices. So to do that, that actually makes it maybe more of a challenge than supporting the players, because we want to have it like a smooth frame rate, low latency, that it feels good. Like, you know, you can just tell when you play a good game that it just has that feeling to it. So that I would say is trickier to achieve. But we've got experience in the industry. So it's something that we work on continuously to improve and make it better that way.
But full respect to that. I mean, you know, you guys are, again, you're thinking about everybody here, right? And it's not that, like, the barriers to entry are not high in this. You don't need this expensive computer, this expensive system, you know, to start. So listen, I'm new. I want to jump into the game. Like, what's the first couple steps that I need to do?
First, join PathDAO, but if you haven't already joined PathDAO, I would say the way that our game works at launch is you need to have 3 NFT items to play the game. So
Okay.
in our game, you have like a character, but the characters aren't NFTs. They're just like in the game. It's actually the equipment pieces that you put on the character that are the NFTs for now. We may we may do characters as NFTs later as well, but for now, like characters like purely cosmetic. So the equipment, that's what you need to get. You can have up to 5, but you need to have 3 to be able to play the game. So that's going to like get you in. So in order to get that equipment, we will have like our own bespoke marketplace that you'll be able to go to. It'll be marketplace.blastroyale.com. It's not operational right now, but it will be. You can go there, get your items there, or you may be a part of like a guild member and you can do a partnership agreement with a scholar so they loan you the equipment and you can play the game that way too. So once you have those, then you can enter the game, you can start playing, you'll be able to earn crypto that way.
Yeah, but currently we are having a blast list campaign, and Rennie can give a bit more information on that. That's also a way for you to jump in early and buy not directly an equipment, but rather a blast box that will give you 3 different equipment items that will guarantee you the access to the game.
Yeah, I can add on to that real quick. So yeah, the Blast List campaign that actually started on Monday, so it's live. You can now get Blast listed, which is basically whitelisting, but we're Blast Royale, so we went for Blast. And yeah, there's loads of different entry methods. Basically, if you're super active or if you're just tuning in every now and then, there is a way in for everyone, and it's quite gamified. Lots of contests. There's even tournaments on our deathmatch beta testing event right now, so you can even win a Blast list by winning Blast Royale deathmatch. So lots of fun ways to get in on that.
Awesome. So obviously, like, the gamers want to know about equipment, right? You say equipment, they're like, tell us more. Like, can you go in, like, so there's faction in it, right? And can you talk a little bit about that? And then I got a couple more of the questions on the equipment.
Yeah, this is the fun part. I think me and Nick will kind of take this in turn. So I'll give you like the basic version and he can kind of get to the details. So the basic version is that, like, when you first drop into the map, you don't have your equipment on you, but when you go to the first box that you find in the game, items from that you have as NFTs are going to appear out of there. So it kind of gives you a consistency. So one thing I want to stress is that, like, our game is not pay to win. Like, it can help you to like develop a play style. So say, for example, that I really like playing with an RPG, like as a long distance, high power weapon, but slow to fire. I can make it. I'm going to get that more often out of I do get it out of the box the first time I play, but you won't be like penalized if you don't do that way. So that's kind of that aspect on it. But just to address those concerns, because that's a question that we often get, and that means that you can kind of change your build. Also, it's important to note that there isn't like a kind of like, if you have this, you're always going to win. Like, the way that the game works is that, Nick will kind of touch upon this about how there's like this kind of meta and kind of counter systems. But also, like, when you're in the map itself, if you kill another player, they drop their gear, which means you can pick them up. So let's say that we start a game, right? And I have like a powerful weapon, but then Rennie knows that I have this powerful weapon and he sees me on the map and he's going to wait around and then he ganks me because I've been fighting against Nick. And now he goes and picks up my rocket launcher. Well, now he has it. So you have this kind of interesting concept that it kind of puts like a target on your head. And that is like an interesting element that we think adds to it. But yeah, there's now like a strategic element. I'll let you talk about this with the counters and things like that.
Yeah, Battle Royale on itself as a game mode offers quite a lot of opportunities to tactically win opponents instead of just using a raw power. And but to make it even more interesting, we have a system of manufacturers, factions, grades levels. All our NFTs have lots of attributes, and you can learn the system and use it to your advantage. And if you see that, okay, in that trophy bracket that we are in currently, the faction X is the most popular one. So if I actually go with the faction Z that has an advantage over faction X, I dramatically increase my chances of doing additional damage or reducing damage to me because I know how factions work. And the same with manufacturers, because we currently allow you to have 2 weapons, for instance. Yeah, you can switch between them depending on the situation, on the environment. So we would like to put lots of opportunities for different play styles, and Battle Royale is a great choice of a game mode that allows a lot of these things happen, and a lot of play styles, which is harder to achieve in some other game modes, like a deathmatch, for instance, which is very precise.
And
Yes.
So someone was bibbing away there.
Yeah, did you get that, Johnson?
did I lose you guys there for a second?
You maybe. We could hear you, but yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah, that's why it's important to optimize the game, because if you experience something like this in a match, it's not really cool. That's why we will be using, we will work continuously on our matchmaking to ensure that players are playing with the lowest ping possible, with within their region, if it's reasonable. But again, it depends on what trophy brackets you are playing. It might be better for you to wait a little bit longer, but have a proper challenge and a high quality game, good experience, rather than saving some random stuff quicker. And it's a continuous effort that we will definitely address. Oh, we had two Johnsons. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Technical difficulties. I think he's loading up. I think we can hear him though.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is working that well. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. So hopefully we can just keep rolling with this and the audio will work. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Okay, great. So sorry again about this. I think Remy took out his RPG and shot my Wi-Fi connection. But yeah, so we were talking about faction, and then can you go into a little bit about like addition? Like those are special, right?
What do you mean special?
Because there's two, like there's faction and then there's addition. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I get. So the idea of editions is that because our equipment has durability and replication count. So we have a system of replication. Let's start with that. And if you have two NFTs, you can pay some secondary and primary token, Blast and Craft Spice, to create a new NFT. But this new NFT will have a lower possibility for further replication. And this system essentially prevents the market of being overflooded with equipment that no one needs. The second system is durability. So every week, durability of equipment goes down, but you can repair it to with a craft spice if you want. If you don't, it's all right. So essentially, the market will naturally reach a state when there is not enough equipment. That's why we came up with editions, and we will from time to time introduce new NFT sales and new editions. They may have different reasons, different purposes. It can be just a regular edition to add just more baseline equipment, but it can be some special edition, like anniversary edition or New Year's edition, or some local holidays like edition or something like that. Maybe some collaboration edition, for instance. Why not? And these editions, although attributes are still the same, the structure of every NFT is the same, attributes may still be different, and it may affect the gameplay as well. For instance, manufacturer may be different, and manufacturer defines some additional bonuses that equipment has. And for instance, if we collaborate with someone, we may collaborate and create a new manufacturer specifically for this collaboration. And this manufacturer will have a specific set of bonuses. And if you like it, then you can just go in and buy specifically this edition because you like it. Or you can go on the secondary market and look for something else, or wait for another edition. So there's lots of possibilities that are possible only thanks to Web3, thanks to blockchain. And for me as a designer, it's really fascinating how many cool stuff can be achieved. Hey.
Really sorry about the
Hopefully,
connection.
yeah,
Keep going, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much finished with the editions, but yeah, as I said, all attributes. Well, I mean, we have lots of attributes, and you can go to our white paper to check all of them. It's really hard for me to even remember all of them to not forget something. But we are trying to make all of them meaningful. And again, why? So one way of achieving that is that all attributes and durability as well, the quality of your items will affect how much craft spice you will get in the game. So it's really a good meta layer for you to think and strategize. Oh, okay, I want to increase the pool of craft spice that I want to earn, or pool of experience, which is equipment experience, which is necessary to upgrade your items, to level them up. And further, we are thinking of introducing some more complex crafting systems, crafting mechanics, which may be wrapped up even in some gamified experience. Because, well, to start with, replication, for instance, breeding is kind of simple thing. Just choose 2 items, hit play, and you're good to go. But eventually, why not to make it something interesting, where you can use some skills and knowledge to actually affect the result. And that's how we would like to proceed with everything. Because yeah, as we said, fun is important, and it doesn't mean that fun should stay only inside the actual gameplay. It can be everywhere. It can be in the marketplace. People trading on the marketplace can have fun. So, hey, Jensen.
Yep. I mean, hey guys, Jensen here, co-founder of PathDAO as well. I think because Chris internet is lagging, so I jumped from chat to the stage. But
Hey,
I think I totally hear you.
Thank you for helping. Anil, Nick, Remy, I'm really sorry, but the Wi-Fi here just went on me like that.
Yeah, no worries.
Anil was talking about RPGs, and like I said, I think he just shot like my Wi-Fi connection. But I'm back in, and Jensen, thank you for jumping in and covering.
Yeah, we pretty much
but I think-
Nick continued and sort of continued talking about the question you asked. So anyone who's listening, we're able to hear that, I think so.
Very cool. I think something that a lot of our gamers is going to be really interested about is about the trophies. Can you talk about the trophies?
Yeah, sure. Trophies work similar to how you may see in Brawl Stars or other games. So if you are doing good in the game and you are winning, like in the top 10, generally you are better than you usually are. You are getting more trophies. Yeah, if you lose trophies, and trophies will be the main starting point for matchmaking. And also we are thinking of using trophies for some more complex systems, like introducing leagues. And if you have a certain number of trophies, you are in a higher league. And again, being in a league, it's not just prestigious and you can have a nice badge over your avatar, etc. But also it may give you some passive rewards, like increasing your craft spice pool, experience pool, maybe some bonuses here and there. So it definitely makes a whole lot of reasons to keep increasing your trophies and keep getting better in the game to essentially reach the highest tier league possible.
Chris, I think you're muted.
Guys, if you're watching from Game Street, we got a secret code that we're putting across the bottom. Jensen, you want to tell them the secret code? We're going to do 2 today. So secret code number 1.
It's battle, man. It's battle.
Nice code.
But yeah, so I just actually wanted to add on an additional question, right? So like, I mean, we've seen the gameplay. I'm not sure if you guys already stream it, but I mean, it's definitely fun. But we're just curious. I mean, good if you guys can explain to the folks here, right, in terms of how the economics work, right? Like, so if I'm a gamer, where does the Web3 tokenization comes in, right? Apart from the NFTs, And then maybe to touch a bit on like maybe how are we thinking in terms of increasing the sustainability of the ecosystem, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I can start. So we have essentially two token system. Our main token is Blast token. It will have a capped supply of 500 million roughly, and this is the most important token because it will be used in main utilities, and they include upgrade of your equipment, crafting new equipment, replicating new equipment. Improving your supply. You also need Blast to trade equipment on our Blast Royale marketplace, because if you don't have a Blast, you will not be able to buy your NFTs to start playing the game, and you have at least three. You need to have at least 3 of them to start playing the game. So that's kind of the about Blast token. Secondary token is a craft spice. It's not capped, but we also don't have a pre-minted supply of that. And when you play the game with NFTs, if you do good, you earn more of a craft spice. If you do less good, you'll earn less craft spice. But you still need to play the game to show some skill to earn this craft spice. And it's limited. Every daily limit is depending on your NFTs. You have a pool. And when the pool is empty of craft spice for your day-to-day, you can still play the game, have fun, but you can earn more craft spice only on the next day when the pool is replenished. So that's how they work. Craft spice is also used as a utility in upgrading, crafting, replicating, all the stuff. But there is one system that uses only craft spice and not the Blast token, which is a repair system. And repair system, the purpose of this is to restore the durability of your items. And our original edition of items, we are thinking of having durability for around 2-3 real life years. But if you really want, you really like your RPG or something, you may pay craft spice to restore the durability and increase the lifetime of your equipment. But the price will go up every time you restore. So because we don't want to have like an eternal equipment that never leaves the market. We want to keep it kind of updated, being fresh and changing, because it also helps. It creates nice dynamics in the gameplay as well, the marketplace. It's not stale.
That's also for sustainability as well.
Yeah.
So we don't want it to be endless NFTs in the marketplace. So NFTs will retain their value, and we can kind of gauge it and make sure that there's like healthy supply and demand. Because as you say, that's an issue that a lot of games have at the moment, is they have inflationary economics, which means it's not sustainable. So we want to avoid that from happening by having measures like this in place.
Yeah, but you can touch on machinations as well.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good point. So yeah, one thing we're happy to sort of report is that we're working with Web3 industry leading, I guess they're kind of web economists called Machinations. We announced a partnership with them, and they do like long-term simulations on game economy, and they verify their game and they work with us. So by doing that, we get to work on these like highly complex models, which detail out the economy sort of months and years in advance, and we can run it millions of times. And what this is really good for is we can see like how much liquidity people will have, will prices crash, etc., etc. It's not like a magic bullet, but it's really helpful. We can plumb the real data of real player activity into this model, and we work it out. And it's quite challenging and interesting for Nick and I, because, for example, I think we're on about the 700th model that we've made of it, and that shows you how many times you have to iterate on it to get it right. And that's something that I think gamers should be careful of when they look at other games, because people who haven't done it, like, it is challenging, and you can only really solve it by doing this kind of simulation many times. So that's something that we really quite we stress to use, so that we can have a lot more kind of authenticity, and we can be confident in saying that we feel that we can get on top of these problems to make sure they never happen.
That's super solid to hear.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, right? I was actually just additionally curious, right? Are you folks already planning to implement like some form of financial controls in the system, right? So like, I mean, are you guys familiar with like the step N and how they manage the GST prices initially, right? When I think the hypothesis was to not allow prices to over spike too fast, because that would create too much of an upward pressure on the NFT prices, right? Which then disincentivizes new joiners to join the ecosystem, which then, it doesn't make sense, right? Because if you're a game, you want more gamers, you want it to be reasonable enough for new gamers to come into the space, right? So what they've done was they did a, what they call it, a periodic sell down into their own inflationary token pool if the prices are going up too high. So they're pretty much like controlling the spike of their inflationary token prices, right? But I mean, they tried an attempt like that, but it was it only worked for like a week or two. But then after that, like an insane amount of demand came in, and even that kind of controls couldn't.
Yeah, that was their issue. That it had like it went like exponential too quickly. I think their mistake that we are hoping to rectify of ours is that in StepN, if you want to earn, as soon as you've got an NFT, you don't really have to do much. You just have to move, right? Which is both good and bad. But the thing is that because there's no kind of control on it, it means it's too easy to earn. Now, in our game, it's a game first and foremost, and it has a skill element. So when you're in that 30-on-1 match, not all 30 people are going to earn. If you finish 15th or above, that's when you start earning. But the amount of earnings you get is based on where you finish. So therefore, you have to be good at the game, and you have to want to improve on it. That's our kind of stance on it. So by doing that, we have kind of much tighter controls there. I wouldn't quite describe our game as win to earn, which is like another terminology that's kind of going on. But at the same time, it's like you couldn't get bots making money playing our game because you have to be good at finishing in the game. So, again, coming back to it, like we want to have fun and the game's got to be challenging and you got to be quite good at the game. And we thought that's going to be like a way that we can kind of measure it. The method that you mentioned there, where they kind of did market making essentially outside of the game economy, we are going to be doing something like that too. So it's the same thing. Like, again, for us, we want to have value in the token for a long term, right? We want it to be like a good game, and that should be like reflective of like the game quality is how we look at it. So that's how we're going to try and approach the project. It's easier said than done. Full disclosure, we want to kind of say that. But
yeah, man. I mean,
yeah, but I think about it like this, right? So look at a game that's been around for years that's still popular to this day. League of Legends would be a great example of that. So if there was like a League coin, and League coin was released in 2007 when League of Legends came out, today, how much would that coin be worth? Maybe it wouldn't be quite as worth as it was, let's say, in 2012 when like League of Legends was in its heyday, but it'd probably still be pretty valuable. So I think we kind of look at it like that. We're trying to make a long-term sustainable game, and the tokens are used to like incentivize, improve the experience, and make it kind of interesting. And you should see it as that kind of part of the game too. It adds to the fun with all the kind of mechanisms that we put on. Yeah. You could also think of, like, if you play poker, you have to buy into tournaments and things like that. It's that kind of analogy too.
Yeah, so I think on this point, right? I mean, if you draw parallels to the Web2 gaming environment, right? I think one of the most profitable or revenue-generating games on the Web2 space is Rise of Kingdoms. The one where you can control your cavalry or your archers.
Yeah. Lilith.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that kind of system, right? It's a pay-to-win environment. And pay-to-win environment attracts major whales who are willing to sink in money just for, emotional enjoyment or like some form of, you see others burn, right? And that's why they sink money in the game, right? But that's not something that Blast Royale is looking for, right? You guys are more, let's do skill-based. Money doesn't really change your ability to win, right? That's like just curious, right? In terms of what's the
I think like maybe better games that are more fitting for us would be, even though they're different genres, games like Clash Royale and maybe even Hearthstone, in the sense that in those games you have to build, let's say, a deck, and if you have a good deck, it's going to help you do better, but it's not going to be the reason why you win or you lose, because when you start getting good at the game, other people will have a similar kind of set. So that's how we kind of look at it. If you buy some NFTs and they're like more of the higher level ones that people have put time and effort in to gear them up and level them up, they are going to give you like a slight advantage. It will definitely help you, but it's not going to be the reason why you definitively win or lose the match, because if you're not good at the game, you're going to be like me. You're going to parachute into the world. You're going to get shot by Rennie straight away. He's going to steal your RPG and take out Chris's Wi-Fi in Colombia, and then it's kind of game over. So there's these kind of aspects to it too. So that's how we're kind of looking at it. Like we would almost call it, it helps you compete, but it's not going to be the definitive thing. And the reason we decided to choose that approach, because you could say like, why have that approach at all, is that we did want to give some value to the NFTs too. So it's like, sure, you know, skins do look cool, but it's just like a cosmetic difference. You know, we kind of like the kind of fantasy that a player can start playing the game, do really well, and they can be really proud of this item that they spent like, you know, months or years on. Like we might kind of mention World of Warcraft at the start of the show, right? Like in World of Warcraft, you can make like a really cool gear set. And you know, when you walk into the tavern and some guy is just on this mount and he just looks epic and you're like, wow, respect. You know that guy, he's put in a lot of probably both time, effort, and money, maybe all three of these things, right? But it looks kind of cool. So we want to have some aspects of that. But as I say, we want to avoid this kind of like, yes, you mentioned like Rise of Kingdoms. Yeah, that's a kind of 4X kind of whale heavy game. We're definitely not making a game like that. But we are making a game where that, like, because you might have an NFT, but you might look at the market and you might think, oh, what would happen if I bought like the most powerful or the highest priced item in the game? And that is going to give you like, it will be cool to have it. That's what we want to say, right? It will kind of incentivize you to do that. But it also means that everyone's going to want to kill you to get that weapon. So there's pros and cons to it, right?
And the blockchain and Web3 adds an additional cool layer on that because, Hearthstone and World of Warcraft and those games, technically, everyone can have every item in the game. It just takes some time, maybe money, etc. But because of the Web3, because of the free marketplace, there is a natural scarcity of items. And even if there is an item which is like very powerful, maybe it's just only 2 or 3 of those items for the whole player base, and they are all have owners. So you cannot just buy this item. You have to come up with a strategy, but you know that there are items like this, and you know how they work. So you may actually be smart and find something on a free marketplace that works as a perfect counter. Buy it for cheap, try it, then you see, it works, and then you buy more of that. Then you publish this strategy, and suddenly these items are worth more because they're actually not as bad as they were priced. And that kind of dynamics are only possible on Web3 with the free marketplace where trading is possible, and we are not limiting people you are not forcing to buy only loot boxes like in regular free-to-play it usually works.
Yeah, like Nick's example, like a real life example is that we both used to play Magic the Gathering. And that's happened many times in Magic the Gathering where there have been cards that people thought were trash tiered. And then someone figured something about it. And then all of a sudden the card value rocketed up like 100x because people worked it out. Like I remember there's a mechanic in Magic the Gathering called Dredge where you can get things out of your graveyard. And there was this land that when you tapped it, you had to discard 3 cards. So people thought it's the worst card in the game. There's no use for it. And when he realized that you could put those 2 things together, it absolutely shot up in value. And I remember I had one of these cards and I was like, where is it? Where is it? I could sell this right now. So there's cool things like that too, which I think, like we say, we're trying to add some element of the blockchain in the meta layer that makes it cool to play the game. On top of the fun gameplay, which is still the number 1 point of the project, really.
And one of the things with Blast too, which I know is a popular subject with our gamers, is Blast is actually used also for entering tournaments, correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the tournaments?
So we are planning to have multiple features, and one of them is the tournaments where you can use your Blast tokens as a buy-in, and then you compete with other players we will use some formats, etc. It can be a round robin or whatever. And you are compete for either like a bigger pool of Blast tokens or some special prizes, maybe special editions, NFTs or something else that you can only obtain, for instance, through these tournaments. But going further, and we also would like to have guilds in our game or clans, and there will be tournaments between guilds. And imagining some big names in the field of Web3, they actually compete in our game to prove who's the best guild in the world in Blast. And they have all the functionality for that.
Hey, Jensen, hey, Path community, you hear that? So this is one we want our name right at the top of that list.
I mean,
Yeah,
we already
yeah.
were top, man. Like in Karmaverse, we trashed like YGG, Avocado, and the rest of them. We were like
Good,
number
good.
1 and number 3.
Well, so imagine
So
this
we are
scenario,
ready.
right?
We are ready.
Good, good. Well, I say like imagine this scenario. So you know there's a tournament, and let's say Nick is part of YGG, and you know that Nick uses the rocket launcher and he uses the carbon armor set, and you're in PathDAO. Well, if you know that he's their player, you guys as a guild can work on making the perfect counter so that when your guy plays and you give it to Chris in a tournament, Chris runs into Nick and he has this counter method, runs straight up to him, goes bop bop, and he's dead immediately. And that's going to feel really.
I'm going after Remy for killing my Wi-Fi.
There you go. There you go. So, but yeah, that for us is actually the most exciting thing because now you have this kind of layer, and then you as a guild work together to think about what the strategy is. Because then, what if Nick is devious and he knows that you're going to be making this counter set, so he makes a counter set to your counter set, and then
I guess it's the time for the Formula
Yeah.
Jansen, you got my back in that situation, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I have the counter sets.
Hey, so you guys, we can't forget because we have a lot of our gamers listening. We have another Game Street code that we wanna give out. So, 2. I hope I didn't get cut off in the middle of the secret code, but secret code number 2 is Royale. Did everyone hear that? Secret code number 2 is Royale.
And I see what you did by linking the first and second codes together. Very clever.
I think we had a question from one of our community guys, right? He's asking, what makes Blast Royale a blockchain game? Right? What new experiences does it bring for gamers? And why would gamers value it, right? I think you folks talk a bit on the NFT part, but I don't know if you guys want to touch a bit more on this.
Yeah, well, hopefully we just kind of described it, but it's this layer of that. What NFTs and unique ownership allows you to do is you can start giving and loaning equipment between people. So you can work collectively on making the best armor suit, the best weapon suit. You can use it to get an advantage in tournaments to improve your guild or your personal profile. So that's something that basically right now isn't really possible with Web 2. Some games have tried it, but not so successfully because this is all done like on a ledger. It's all transparent. You can see where it is.
Yeah, so, even if it's possible in Web 2, it's still not as natural.
Yeah.
And it will be lots of barriers. And again, another angle is an esport, for instance, because with all this crypto layer and the accessibility of having the crypto wallet and cryptocurrency, it's really easy for us to start democratizing esports. So you can just play the game, you are good at the game, and we can showcase your profile, for instance, to guilds. And guilds are, we need good players, and guilds can reach out to this person, and this person can get some bigger selection of equipment, NFTs, and just keep playing the game for fun, being even better. But also at the same time being kind of a part of a bigger team, and it will be a first step towards being a proper esportsman, a professional player. Because now you're in a guild, now you can go into a tournament, now you prove that you are great, and along those ways you are interacting with crypto layer, earning cryptocurrency that may worth something.
Yeah.
And it's even though in Web 2 it's technically maybe possible to replicate all the stuff, it would feel really unnatural. And for Web 3, it's a part of this world.
Yeah, I also think that we may even see people forming their own guilds. Like we have this guild or clan in our game already called Nova. I've seen some of the guys here are even listening in to this particular stream, and they are really good at the game. And I could see that some people becoming really good, they start teaming up together and they'll make their own pool of equipment and they'll start to kind of work it. So we think that's something that is enabled in this that wasn't there in the past. And we quite like that. So I think it's a really good question because what we're trying to say is we want to use the blockchain to make it a unique experience and an even more fun experience than a regular game. Yeah. That's what we're trying to aspire to as a studio.
Just to follow up with that question, right? I think then he's also asking like, in terms from a revenue model perspective, right? Like doing it on chain, and then now you're trying to accrue more value back to the users, right? At least what's the expectation from a studio angle, right? Do you guys expect from a profitability angle to actually outperform your Web2 counterparts, or is it going to be better or worse, right? From a studio profitability angle, when you launch a Web3 versus launching a traditional mobile game.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. To be honest, if we don't know, is the answer right now. I think our expectation is this though. Like, what's really good about making a Web3 game is that because you kind of like announce your project really early, is people can look at it and you can work on a much more kind of holding hands with the community level that you couldn't do before. So some of the games that we worked on in the past, you would work on them for maybe 3 years with no one knowing anything about it, and then you announce it, and then you hope that people like your game. So that's something that's kind of interesting. And so why this leads into this question is that as we kind of make the game bigger, we would hope that perhaps the game will become more profitable because it's good and people like it. And the reason why it was good and people liked it is because we worked very early on with the community. And what's really cool about kind of Web3 is that if you're early into the game, you're going to be able to help develop the game. And then if it does good, then you too can kind of share in the success of it, right? So if you bought one of our NFTs on day one, right, and then 2 years later, 10 million people are playing the game, that NFT is probably going to be a lot more valuable than it was on day one. And so that's your reward. And you don't have to sell it. You can just play the game if you want to, but you kind of have that thing. Again, we use that kind of example with Magic the Gathering. It's like if you bought some of their cards when that game first came out, one of those cards is worth £500,000. It's called the Black Lotus, right? You can't even use it in tournaments these days, but it's just that kind of collector value. So there's the kind of two aspects of it. But
as we mentioned from time to time, it's like we definitely see how free to play and play to earn these games will be the future of games industry. The same way as free to play came in 2010, and first was like, what's that? Never gonna happen, never gonna work. But it worked because it actually opened your game to a much bigger audience, and because it's free. And the next step is to have not just free to play game, but also play and earn game where you can have fun and you can earn if you want. And ideally, it should bring even bigger audience and more incentives and a stronger community participation in the project, because essentially we are now kind of all on the same boat. And it's not just developers who earn from the game, but the game is still will be, in our case, free to play a bit later. We will start with play and earn, but essentially, that's how the game should, and that's the future we are seeing. The game are free to play and earn, players owning assets and bringing even bigger audience and aligning everyone in this space around that.
Because I actually have an additional hypothesis here as well, right? In terms of the business model that's happening in the space, is that because now from a gamer angle, right? Typically, when you play a game, you might sink in a few $100s if you really, really love the game, right? But you kind of write it off as an expense, right? Because it's like I can sell my account on like play auction, but it's gonna take I might get scammed. It might be like 90% loss in value, right? But when it's in this environment where you're in a hyper liquid environment because of NFTs and marketplaces, right? Suddenly, when I think of playing the game, it's less on an expense. Suddenly, it becomes like, oh shit, is this an investment, right? And then, from a gamer perspective, they tend to sink in more dollars into the game. Hence, if you think from a just pure ARPU standpoint, it's gonna increase, right? But I think also beyond this, right? So this is the first point, right? But I think beyond this is that we are starting to see games evolve into a economy rather than a revenue model. So we are looking at it from a GDP angle, right? Like it's inflow of cash into your economy, and this cash is used for purchasing, upgrades, whatever, right? Transfer hands, right? And then you as a platform or creator behind it, you might have a toll, right? Or you might have taxes, right? And even though the taxes is a smaller percentage of a full revenue, but because now it's more of an economy view, right? It's a smaller percentage of a potential larger pool, right? And hence, why this might be a new type of revenue model for game studios, right? In Web3, it's like, back then you had just people selling pure CDs, right? That was the first version of revenue models in gaming. Then you had microtransactions, right? And then now maybe what we're seeing is like a GDP model where games take a fee of the economic activity that happens within the game, right? So yeah, I think we're still early, so we're not sure whether what the actual answer
That
is.
is how our game is kind of based that way, and that's good because that means it's more player incentive driven. Because it means that like we can just concentrate on making a really great game, and the more people that play the game, as you say, that will mean there's more transactions going on, and that's how we get successful. It's a bit, I guess, like eBay in that kind of regard. So yeah, we kind of like that as well because again, you mentioned the kind of like the Rise of Kingdoms game, and that can be quite predatory because it's trying to like get people to spend ridiculous sums of money. Whereas us, it's more just like we'll just play the game and have fun, and then the rest takes care of itself. So it's more kind of akin to spiritually what we'd like to achieve.
Yep. Okay, here's a hard question from someone from the audience, right? I mean, it's gonna throw the kitchen sink away, but so someone's asking like, what makes Blast Royale different from other NFT games with the same gameplay? So like, I would say like I think people are familiar with Titan Arena as well. There's like a like a Brawl Stars equivalent. I think Cantina Royale just announced a trailer yesterday. I think it's also like a this kind of genre, right, on mobile as well. So what makes Blast Royale different?
Well, it's the gameplay. That's going to be my answer. Like we've spent a lot of time making our gameplay fun. Like Thetan Arena exists, but we've played that game. We don't think it's the most fun game. It also has a lot of bots because it's like a MOBA. A lot of the time you get put on teams of other bots, which makes it less fun to play. But the gameplay is also a bit kind of slow paced and it uses more kind of special abilities. Our game is we want to make this fast-paced, fun and frenetic battle royale game. You can notice even like with our perspective, like why did we choose to do isometric perspective instead of like first person or third person like a lot of other games do? And we think because it adds to more fun gameplay. We think that playing on mobile especially, it's easier to control the character. You can see more what's going on. It makes it more exciting to watch the game. It means we can do more interesting things like some of the special moves that are attached to the weapons. So that's what I think it really kind of comes down to. I mean, otherwise you could say like, well, what's the difference between, let's say, PUBG and Fortnite? They're both battle royale games, right? And in Fortnite, they've even made the mode where they remove the building. So then it really is the same game, but they play differently. So what's the difference between Dota and League of Legends? They're both MOBAs, right? But the nuances of the gameplay are very particular. So to be honest with you, you'd have to try the game to try it. But what makes it different is you've got a team that spent years working on games with great gameplay. We're committed to that, and we're going to try and make the best gameplay. And we're also willing to work with the community to improve it and make it even better. Because what's interesting about that is that our interpretation may not be as popular as a different interpretation, and that's kind of a fun thing going forward to adjust it.
Yeah,
I think that's very true. Yeah.
One more thing about particular mechanics is that most of these games that are top down, they tend to be going into very much strategic MOBA direction, while we are more fascinated with like an actual shooting, where you have a gun and you need to skillfully aim and shoot. And there's many games that are leaning bravely in that direction. So that's what. But yeah, as Daniel said, difference. There's a difference in the details of every mechanic.
Yeah, and I think the details is the one that will make or break. It's very fair. And I think someone also has this is quite a tough question as well, right? I think this is a tough crowd tonight. Someone's asking like, why does Blast Royale need a token, right? Can it just work with NFTs without a token ecosystem? You guys have thoughts?
It could do, but why we like the token is that we think that adds like this interesting element, right? It's something that you can use to acquire, to improve, to kind of hold on to. You can decide how you want to spend it. It's like having a hard currency, but it's a hard currency in the game that you can then use and it has real monetary value. So we think that's kind of interesting. I think we looked at the market, and yes, there are games like Axie and Peg Axie and things like this, but they're not really skill-based earn games. So we wanted to be one of the first generation of games that had the earning component, but based on player skill and having fun gameplay, and see what that was like. So if in order to achieve that, that's where we need the kind of tokens that add it. So that's our kind of philosophy of this game, and we want to try it. And it'll be interesting to see how it can kind of work. I think it's a good question again. It's a fair one to ask, but because we had the exact same thoughts ourselves, I think 8 months ago when we decided to make the game. And that's why we decided to have that particular thing in the game.
Yeah, but on a practical level,
Yeah.
tokens are just a mean of exchanging items. Because imagine you have only NFTs and no tokens. Okay, how would you sell your NFTs to someone else in the community and buy something? Okay, you can buy with a credit card, but selling with a credit card, I mean, it has a whole lot of barriers to entry. Not everyone is being able to actually get a credit card or apply for a bank account, while everyone can make a MetaMask wallet.
Yeah, it's free.
It's like true democracy.
Yeah.
It's free and it's much more accessible to anyone who has an internet. So
We're not fans of banks, is what we're saying. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I think we have to cut the AMA because our laptop is about to run out of battery. Is that okay? It was going to be 45 minutes, but we can answer any more questions with the community. We're always happy to do it. And like for us, it was a lot of fun actually to speak to you. And I think we were like the questions as well. They were very well thought out from the community.
Yeah, I mean, before we let you leave, right? Just a very last short one, right?
Yeah.
Is there any alpha for the community, right? That you guys can leave us with?
I think Rennie can tell more about it. Just quickly, we have currently Deathmatch Beta running. It's not a Battle Royale game, but it's a Deathmatch mode. The same art, same gunplay, just the different game modes, which we are testing functionality, servers, all the stuff. But you can join our Discord, Twitter, and see how you get access. And yeah, Rennie, I'll let you.
He has some alpha for sure.
Yeah, I got some alpha. I think normally this is me. I'm sitting here DMing Anil or Nick, telling them to be careful what they say. But basically, it's very likely that next month there's going to be some kind of beta testing that's different to the one we've got right now. So next month, or to be announced, it's coming up soon. It's worth sticking around for.
Okay, we hear you. Right, on that note, I mean, Anil, Nick, Rennie, thank you so much for your time and for spending time with our community as well. Massive thanks. We look forward to that game and also to that beta. We'll see how we can get our hands on some access for our gamers, right? So, thanks again, and
thank you, Ensign, and thanks to Chris. I know he had to disappear.
Yeah.
Say thank you to him too. Take care.
Thanks for that. Great questions.
Right. Cheers, folks.
Yeah. Bye.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. She say that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D. Don't believe in T-H-O-T. She keep playing me dumb.